The March 19th special meeting of the Augusta County School Board to order. And the first thing on our agenda is the pledge to the flag, and if you will join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got him.
Okay, thank you. We do have one board member that would like to join us by telephone tonight, and we will need a motion from the board to allow him to do that. However, we will also need to ask a couple questions of Dr. Ochiltree. And Dr. Ochiltree, are you there?
Yes, sir.
First of all, we need to know where you are and why you're not attending the board meeting tonight.
I'm on vacation in Florida, and this vacation was planned at the beginning of the school year, long time ago.
Okay. I think we're all envious of you if you're in Florida.
The weather's not much better than home.
Okay, we will need a motion to allow Dr. Ochiltree to join us by phone. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we allow Dr. Ochiltree to join us remotely by phone tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion carries 5-0. So, Dr. Ochiltree, welcome aboard, and we will try to keep you informed as best we can.
Okay.
I will turn this over to Ms. Mahafer at this point to review and approve 25-26 revised budget.
We're going to review the 2025-2026 school operating revised budget.
I don't know if it's on. There we go. Okay. Made you walk all the way over here. All right, we'll start again. At this time, we're going to take a look at the fiscal year FY 2025-2026 school operating revised budget. The school operating budget revenues consisted of state, federal, other local revenues, and our county appropriation. We started the FY 26 year with an approved budget of $151,911,501. The FY 26 revised budget is going to come in at $153,840,811. That's an approximate change of 1.3% or an increase of approximately $1.9 million. The increases in state revenue are mainly focused towards the bonus revenue that we received in FY 25 that we rolled into FY 26 and some grant funding that we are receiving there for federal grants as well. Here are the expenditures for the FY 2025-2026 revised operating budget. Again, you'll see that we started the year for FY 26 at approximately $151.9 million. You can see the breakdown there between the different functional areas within the operating budget. We have instruction at approximately $115 million, administration $3 million, health services, $2.8 million, transportation, $9 million, maintenance, $13 million, food services, approximately $370,000 to $400,000, technology, $5.9 million, and our transfer to capital for our share of the broadband payment to the county is $625,000. So you can see from our original approved budget of FY 26 to our revised budget that we did also increase here at the $1,929,310, or approximately 1.3%. We will need a motion tonight to approve the revised operating budget for fiscal year 2025, 2026.
Are there any questions for Ms. Mulheffer concerning the revised budget for 25, 26? We will need a motion to approve the revised budget for 25, 26.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the revised budget for 25-26.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the revised budget for 25, 26. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the motion carries 6-0. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you. You want me to do the other funds or start off? Okay. All right, we're gonna skip to B for the other fund budgets. The other fund budgets were submitted as an attachment to your large budget book that you received at our first work session. The other fund budgets that we will look at tonight, and we will look at the revised budget for FY '26 and the proposed budget for FY '27. The first fund that we will look at is Fund 43, our School Nutrition Program Fund. Their proposed budget was $6.4 million. Their revised budget is a little over $7 million. So they're receiving in FY '26 approximately $6.8 million in revenue. You'll see that the majority of their revenue there comes from state and federal dollars. Also, they have some funds there for a la carte sales at the schools. For the proposed FY '27 year, revenues are coming in at approximately $7.3 million. As we move down into the expenditures, you'll see the expenditures for FY '26 revised are approximately $7 million, and the expenditures for FY '27 are $7,174,143. Their budget over the revised budget of FY '26 to '27 is increasing approximately $91,000. Revenues do take into consideration status quo with the CEP status as it stands as of right now. The next fund that we'll look at is our Capital Improvement Fund, which is Fund 44. Our approved budget in Fund 44 was, in revenues, was $3,034,497. In that revenue included funding for E-rate, also our transfers from the county to support school bus purchases. Our revised revenue will include the actual amount of E-rate funding that we are scheduled to receive. E-rate funding offsets technology purchases that we have in the fiscal year. So our revised budget, or our proposed budget for revenues, is $1,226,834. Moving down into expenditures for Fund 44 for our Capital Improvement Fund. Our revised budget includes purchase of school buses, capital outlay expenditures for security services of approximately $315,000. We had facility site improvements totaling approximately $900,000. We finalized the final expenditures for Buffalo Gap Middle School and Riverheads Middle School in the revised FY '26 budget. And then we are finishing up lease payments for our technology lease in the FY '26 year, and then in FY '27, we are starting a new lease payment for our new technology infrastructure upgrade. This brings our total budget for Fund 44 School Capital Improvement, the revised budget of $3,630,930, and the proposed budget to $1,969,176. The next budget that we're gonna review is Fund 47, which is our Head Start budget. The Head Start budget consists of both the Head Start program and the Early Head Start grant. The Head Start program services are our 4-year-olds. Early Head Start services 3-year-olds. The two grants combined for FY '26 approved budget was $3,764,003. The FY '26 revised budget is $3,793,117. And the FY '27 proposed budget is $3,843,324,000. I'm sorry, $324. Lots of numbers tonight. That is approximate increase of $50,000 for the Head Start budget, or 1.3%. Keep going. The next budget that we're gonna look at is Fund 48, the Governor's School Fund budget. We are also fiscal agent for the Governor's School, so that is why you see this budget for your approval tonight. The revised budget was $2,332,325. The proposed budget for FY '27 is $2,389,920. You'll see their revenues there are made up of special fees from the students, also tuitions from the participating divisions. They receive funding from the state, and they also have a small technology grant. Their expenditures include expenditures for instruction, expenditures for guidance services, for instructional support, health services, operations management, and building improvement, as well as technology services. Their overall budget increased $57,595, which was approximately 2.5%. Those are your other fund budgets that are presented before you tonight for your approval. Do you have any questions regarding any of those? We will also need a motion to approve the revised FY '25-26 and the proposed FY '26-27 other fund budgets.
Can that be included all in one motion to approve the revised and the proposed?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on any of the other fund budgets? It might be just noted that the Head Start budget is basically a flow-through budget with federal funds.
Correct.
So that does not come out of our operating funds at all. And the school nutrition program is a self-sustaining program for the most part. And that does not impact our operating funds either. Any other questions or anything, concerns? We will need a motion to approve the other budgets, as we call them, both revised and proposed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the revised and proposed other budgets as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the revised and proposed budgets for the other budgets. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The motion carries 6-0. All right, moving on.
Mr. Childs, we're ready for mine now, please. This presentation is a summary of what we've discussed in your budget work session. I'd like to take us through several timelines and meetings that we've had throughout the last several months about the budget. Mr. Childs, go on to the next. Thank you. This is our budget timeline. February 5th, you approved your budget goals. February 19th, you had your first budget work session and you reviewed what we had at that time, and that was the governor's proposed budget. You also received departmental requests. On March 5th, before our 6:30 school board meeting, you had a 4:30 p.m. budget work session, and at that time, we reviewed the House and Senate proposed budgets, and we also discussed personnel priorities. This evening at 5:30, we met to take one more look at the budget, and we reviewed the proposed budgets that I'm getting ready to show momentarily. On March 30th, Mrs. Meyerhofer and I will present the approved budget to the Board of Supervisors. I'd like to share what the priorities have been for our operating and our personnel expenses, and all of these were directed by you to staff. So priorities for operating have included maintaining security goals and priorities, continued support for regional programs, Valley Academy, Valley Career and Technical Center, and the Shenandoah Valley Regional Program, high-quality instructional materials, including textbooks, rising cost of utilities, and a note that if we would receive additional state revenue, we would consider other requests for school improvements. And I've put an asterisk there just to call attention to the fact that in the House budget, they proposed a one-time discretionary funding of $3.3 million to the school division. We have not included that revenue in any of the proposed budgets because we are not assured that that would be something that we would receive. So if that were to come to fruition, we would come back and talk with you about your priorities with the recommendation that this would be devoted to things and capital improvements or school improvements and not personnel, since it would be just one-time discretionary funding. Personnel requests include the priority personnel request on this slide, and that would be a salary increase for employees and an increase on advanced degree supplements, coaching supplements, and instructional supplements. We would also like to finish the third phase of our salary improvement plan for our bus drivers. If you'll remember, ahead of the 2024-25 school year, we set out to increase bus driver salaries by $5,000. So we are $3,500 towards that goal. So staff would like to finish that goal with an additional $1,500 for our bus drivers. Continued health insurance coverage is a personnel priority request. Again, 100% of employees' premiums and subsidizing 50% of eligible dependent and spouse. And all of that despite an anticipated increase in health care costs of 14%. This past school year, we did incur an increase of 14%, and we are anticipating another 14%. So that is budgeted. You will see shortly that there is a bonus in all of the budget versions, so we would be required to have a local match in order to give the bonus to our employees, so that is also a priority request. We are also looking to increase all of our 7-hour instructional assistants to 7.5 hours to provide instructional support and coverage in our classrooms. We would also like to fund 2 full-time grant-funded positions since our all-in funding is ending at the end of June. And we would like to prioritize stipends for our high school department chairs. We currently have stipends for elementary and middle, and we would like to add the stipends for high school. Those are our priority personnel requests. Additional requests, as you have discussed with us in your budget work sessions, would include 3 additional teaching positions, assistant girls wrestling coaches, a finance technician, 2 full-time positions to be used between the instructional and student services department, departments, high school marching band assistant directors, an adjustment to our professional services salary scale, support staff supplement for college degrees, several reclassification requests, and additional instructional positions to be determined contingent upon any increase in local and/or state revenue. This chart represents all of the options that we have discussed and presented to you this evening. I will share that between February 19th and this evening, staff worked to cut nearly $7 million in requests to get to this place this evening. These options also are based upon a midway, a conservative revenue, if you will, that combines both features from the proposed House and Senate budgets, as well as an average daily membership of 9,300 students. I would also like to point out that due to the ADM decrease, we are seeing a reduction in state funding. Also, our LCI changed and it went up, and that resulted in a loss of $1.9 million in state revenue. So I'm going to let Ms. Meyerhofer talk about each of these options, A, B, C, and D, and then we can answer any questions that you may have before you adopt your budget.
As we discussed earlier in the work session, option A includes a 3% salary increase and also assumes that we would receive the 3% on the state SOQ share of revenues for those positions as well. It also includes all of the personnel requests, so both the priority request and the additional request. As you can see here by the total revenue and total expenditures, this leaves us out of balance by approximately $1.2 million. Option B keeps the 3% salary increase intact and only includes the priority personnel requests. So those were the priority requests that were on the initial slide that Dr. Troxel reviewed. Based on the revenue and expenditures that change would make for option B, that puts us out of balance by approximately $640,000. Option C would continue to have a 3% salary increase that would be locally funded, with only the state having a share of 2% of the revenues towards that 3% salary increase. So if the state would not match the 3% on SOQ funded, but only provide 2%, we would have a little bit of a reduction in revenues for that we would have to offset in order to make that 3% salary. This also only includes the priority personnel request. If we went with option C, this would put us out of balance at approximately $1.1 million. Option D is a 2% salary increase. So this would be our match and the state share of SOQ funded positions for a 2% salary increase, and only the priority personnel requests. If we went with option D, that would put us out of balance at approximately $160,000. With the option D, we would go back to department heads and we would review expenditures and could trim that accordingly to meet the option D deficit. Are there any questions on the different options?
Questions, comments from board members? Well, I'll make a few comments. I'm always good for that. Option D, I don't like the fact that it's 2% salary increase. However, also, we need to go to the Board of Supervisors with a balanced budget. And I think if we go with a balanced budget, and then we have a priority list along with that balanced budget that says that if we get additional funds, and what we could do is take that 1.9 million that we lost in state funding and use that as sort of a benchmark. And our top priority would be to get to a 3% salary increase. I think that should be number one. And then we would pick up those other personnel items that we would have to leave out that were not priority. I don't know exactly how far that 1.9 million will go. And we obviously don't know at this point what's going to come from Richmond, because this is now in the conferees have got to work something out, and they're going to have a short session again. But I think it's important that, you know, if we do go with option D, I think it's important that we let our people know that this is not where we want to be. This is not what we as a school board want. I would rather go with a 2 now and be able to raise it to a 3 instead of taking a chance on a 3 and having to cut it back. I would rather be conservative, and I feel pretty comfortable that we will be able to get to that 3%. I guess our folks are just going to have to trust us a little bit that, you know, that's what we're working toward. That's where we want to get. But that's my thoughts. And anybody else chime in?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to echo that as well. I'd love to go with option A, and I think at this point, we're pretty limited. Option D is really the most realistic approach. Being conservative and presenting a close to balanced budget. Again, I would like to stress prioritizing that 3% salary increase if we can. I think that'll help with overall morale, and I think that it should just be the utmost importance at this point, so.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. I think that that's the right path for us. It puts the out of balance in striking distance for us, and it gives us the option to increase the salary to a 3% should we receive the extra funds. And it buys us a little bit of time to have a little breathing space to work between now and, you know, the end of April. So I think that's probably the most realistic option that we have. But I like you, I'm optimistic that we can come in to something different.
Yeah.
So
I think what we would need to do is if we do go with option D, we would direct our superintendent and our finance department to balance the budget, find that 160,000 and balance our budget. And then when that is presented to the Board of Supervisors on, I think, March the 30th, then we present them with a balanced budget with this caveat over here that says, hey, if we get extra funds or if you find extra funds, here's what we want to do with it. And I'm like you, Mr. Lawson. I feel reasonably comfortable that, you know, we're going to be able to make it to 3%. At least I sure hope so.
Mr. Chairman, I'm, like the rest of us here, not excited about 2% because we all know that our staff, those teachers, you know, need to get to 3%. But like everybody else here, I do feel confident that I'm pretty positive in saying that we're gonna get extra funding to get to that 3%. I just think that the Board of Supervisors and will see and help us out, and maybe some other dollars, and I feel like that we'll get there. So, like you said, we just gotta trust in the process and plan to be at 3% when it's all said and done.
Well, it takes about $1 million for a percent raise, if I remember correctly.
You're correct.
So that 1.9 would go a long way to doing that. Dr. Griffin, don't mean to leave you out. You're way over there by yourself tonight.
I have nothing to add, really. I just agree with the statements that have already been made. You're constrained by revenue. You don't have a lot of wiggle room when you're constrained by revenue. So.
No. Any other questions or comments? Dr. Ochiltree, would you like to comment?
I'll keep it short. I echo what all of you all have said.
Yeah, we're looking at the chart.
I'm looking at it too. Good visual here on the meeting site on the Augusta County School. I'm looking right at it, and I would just echo what all of you all have said.
Okay. We will need it kind of seems like everybody sort of agrees that option D is probably our best option, even though we don't like it. I think that's our best route to make it work and hope for the best. So we will need a motion to accept that option and direct our superintendent and finance department to balance the budget. And I think they have heard us loud and clear, both in the working session and here tonight, that, you know, we as a board, our top priority is the 3%. And we would like for them to work toward that. And I think that's something that's going to be achievable. And it's kind of aggravating that the General Assembly, when they meet in Richmond, they've got one job to do, and that's balance the budget. And they can't get it done. And we've got one job to do, it's balance the budget, and we're going to get it done. So sort of frustrating, but we'll deal with it. So with that, we will need a motion to move forward.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we accept the budget and we go with option D, and we give administration the leeway to make the changes that they need to balance the budget. And was there a third part to it? Is that it? Close
Okay.
enough? Okay.
That'll work.
Okay, all right.
It's been moved and seconded that we go with option D, and that we direct our superintendent and finance department to balance the budget. Any further discussion?
Can I say one more thing? I remembered what the third thing was, to ask them to come up with the list of our priorities that we're going to
Yeah.
present. That was the
I
third
think,
thing.
I think we've made that clear to them tonight.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
I don't think that'll have to be part of the motion. I think
Okay.
you all have got that, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of option D and directing our staff to balance the budget, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, the motion carries 6-0. Ms. Mahafer, thank you all and your staff for all the time and effort and hard work that you all have put into putting this budget together. I know it's never an easy task,
Thank you.
but you ought to be commended that you've gotten this done with the circumstances you've had to deal with.
Thank
The
you.
unknowns out there that, and appreciate board members and all the work and consideration that you all have put into it as well. This is something that every year, you know, we put a lot of time and thought and effort into it. We are fortunate that we have a staff that brings us a very concise, understandable budget, and we appreciate it. With that, we'll move on to any board member comments unless you have anything else.
No, sir.
We'll move on to board member comments. If anybody has any, we'll start with Mr. Lawson.
just want to thank the administrative for all your hard work. I know that was a long process, and we're not done yet, but thank you so much, and for staying close to the priorities that we set and that we wanted to achieve. And so I appreciate your hard work.
Mr. Whitmer?
Yeah, I'd like to start off by thanking Mrs. Mosey and everyone at Castle today for hosting me on a tour. It was quite the scenic drive out there, my first trip. And Dr. Troxel, I appreciate all the time and effort for the listening sessions the past few weeks, and I'm looking forward to Riverheads next week. And I'd like to echo Mr. Lawson saying thank you to all involved. This is my first time going through this budget process, and to say there's a lot into it is an understatement. There is a lot that goes on, and really appreciate the hard work. Thank you so much.
Mr. Schwartzel?
I just want to say that for the ones that have been on the board for the last several years, we've been here before, and I feel like we usually end up where we need to be, which obviously is at 3%. I still say again that we'll get there. So that's all I have.
Dr. Griffin?
I want to echo the thank you to Mrs. Meyerhofer and the staff. I can't even imagine that job, so it's incredible to put together such a huge budget. And secondly, I really enjoyed Dr. Troxel's listening tours. I've been able to go to, I think, 3, although I can't really remember where the third one was. But they've been great. The parents, because of how she runs those meetings, the parents really talk and teachers talk. And so we're really hearing a lot of ideas about what people really like and value. And they're just being done very well. And one issue, which I think you all know is something I'm concerned about, but I'll reiterate it. In 2 of the sessions, parents were very concerned about the overuse of computers in the elementary years. And I noticed in some news feed that Shenandoah County is looking at that and trying to, I didn't read the article, I just saw a headline, but they're trying to look again at how much computer use you should have with elementary kids. So that's something to think about, and it certainly has come up in 2 of the listening sessions. But thank you. Thank you, Dr. Troxel.
Dr. Ochiltree?
Yes, I'd like to thank staff for putting this budget together, and I appreciate the IT work tonight on bringing this up. I'm looking right at you all, and you're looking good tonight. But and that was very helpful to see the numbers. And also, I'd like to thank Dr. Troxel. I think since we last met, she did one of her listening sessions out at Craigsville. I've heard nothing but good feedback on that. Well appreciated, and I think they're still talking about that out in Craigsville. And I think she's received some good information that I'm sure she will act on from all these sessions, and we all appreciate it very much.
Okay, just a couple things, and just, echo everything that everybody said about all the hard work that's been done. And listening sessions, I've been to the one at Fort Defiance, and I think it's a great idea. And I think they have been well received by the community. Also, I went over to Fort Defiance for the introduction of the new principal at Fort Defiance, Fonda Morris, and I've heard nothing but positive comments about her coming in as our new principal at Fort. So I think things are going really well. The wheels haven't come off the bus, so we're headed toward the end of the year now. That's all I've got. I think we do have a need for a closed session. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I move that the board convene in closed session for the following purposes: discussing and considering assignment, promotion, demotion, dismissal, salaries, and/or resignation of specific school board employees pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, conducting hearing and/or taking action regarding a matter that involves disclosure of information about an individual student pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A2.
Is there a second? It's Been moved and properly second that we convene in closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.